You know, since 2019, I often think about Game of Thrones and how they got the ending so terribly wrong, and how it was so unsatisfying, and how you were just left as low. This beloved franchise just plummeted to the ground and crashed and burned. But then I think about shows like Breaking Bad, and I think about how they nailed the ending. And then I think about the Harry Potter franchise, and how they got the ending so right and so goddamn satisfying. And I think about, if they weren't so lazy, Game of Thrones could have been on this list. They could have done well. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my last Harry Potter review, and today we're reviewing Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Now, this is the final movie in the Harry Potter 8 film franchise, and before we get started, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. I really appreciate that. Listen, I'm just gonna say right away, I absolutely love this film, okay? This is such a satisfying ending to an 11 or like a 10-year run for Harry Potter. Man, if you were mad at them for splitting the last book into two parts and you were like, why are you doing that? It's just a cash grab. I want to see everything all at once. Why do I have to wait a whole year? Man, this movie really shows you why they had to split the last book into two parts. Because the first movie, I talked about in my part 1 review, you can check that out on the channel. I talked about how that movie was more of like a setup to the conclusion. Like, we're doing our final character development, and we're kind of just trying to get our characters there to the final location where they need to be. And we're just sorting character moments out, and it's more slow-paced. But this movie gets going right out the gate. After we bury Dobby, may he rest in peace, our characters head to this very thrilling bank robbery where they have to break into Bellatrix's safe. They have to break into her safe because they know that there's a Horcrux in there, which is like a goblet, a cup, right? So they have to get in there. And once they get in there, there's like this whole spell where everything they touch multiplies. Very intense scene as they get buried with all these treasures. It seems that they're going to be buried under them. And they escape. And then they get on a freaking dragon and start flying out there. This is maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes into the movie. This is also the shortest movie out of the whole Harry Potter franchise, and it's the last one because this movie just gets going. It knows what it needs to do. It knows that it used part 1 to set things up, that, hey, like, we're going here. After that, our characters find out that all the last Horcruxes are inside the castle, so now it's time to go back to Hogwarts. In the last movie, we barely saw anything from Hogwarts. I don't think we even saw Hogwarts. It was like the first Harry Potter movie where our characters were away from our beloved, super safe witchcraft and wizardry school. So it felt very nice to be back. Even though we were only away for like one movie, it felt like an eternity. Super nice to be back. And now we're putting our forces together because we have to protect this castle. Because Lord Voldemort knows what we're up to, knows that we're after the Horcruxes, and he's sending his army to us. You know, there's all these movies that promise this big battle, this big war at the end. You know, they're like, we're at the conclusion, good versus evil is going to face off in our big epic battle. And only a few, I would say, deliver on the epicness of it. Sometimes it's just kind of like one fight. For example, Infinity War, even though I thought that, yes, that Wakanda scene was super dope, it's just kind of like one battle, right? Super thrilling one battle. But I don't even think it holds a candle to this battle of Hogwarts. It is super exciting. The castle's crumbling. Voldemort forces are attacking, we're defending. So freaking thrilling. I love it. I love the battle. The whole Quidditch stadium's going, the castle is going, we're shooting spells left, right, and center. People are dying, spiders are back, we got giants, we got these stone creatures that are fighting. Oh man, David Yates got it so right with this battle sequence. That sequence where they're reinforcing the castle and Professor McGonagall takes those stone creatures out from the ceiling and they land. The music that's playing, oh, so wonderful, dude. So much hype and epicness just to set this all up. We're protecting this castle that a huge battle is about to break out. Everything about the battle and the setup for Hogwarts is done just brilliantly in this movie.
So epic!
I forgot to mention this, but later in the movie we learn Snape's true intentions throughout the whole series. But in that one scene where McGonagall was fighting Snape, did you notice that Snape did not fire a single spell at her? I'm pretty sure he was just protecting the entire time. She was shooting spells at him, and he was throwing shield spells, because obviously that's like his friend, his colleague. He doesn't want to hurt her because he's just pretending to be on the other guy's side. I felt like if it was intentional, and if I'm getting this right, that he was just protecting himself the whole time, I think that's a really cool detail. So the battle has broken out. Harry knows what he needs to do. He needs to go talk to the ghost of Ravenclaw to find out where the little tiara is that he's looking for. That is the Horcrux. She tells him he needs to go to the Room of Requirements, right? He, at some point, runs into Ginny, and they share this very awkward kiss. I've mentioned this before in the past reviews, how I'm not really feeling their relationship. And if you look at it, if you notice this, after the sixth movie, or even in the sixth movie, actually no, after the sixth movie, all their scenes, they don't really have any impactful couple scenes to set up their relationship even more. They just have scenes of them just sharing very awkward kisses together. Just one quick kiss, and that's it. We gotta go. That's it. Forget about Ginny. Harry now. Harry on a mission. Yeah, again, the relationship doesn't really work for me. But anyways, Harry goes to the Room of Requirements, and that's when Ron and Hermione meet him after they destroy the cup in the Chamber of Secrets, and they share a little kiss. Their relationship is finally, they're together now. But anyways, they meet him in the Room of Requirements, and freaking Malfoy's there with his friends. And Harry finds the tiara, and one of Malfoy's friends, Goyle, I think his name is, sets the Room of Requirements on fire, and Goyle actually dies in it. Harry, in his good nature, decides to save Malfoy. They save Malfoy and destroy the tiara, and through that, Harry finds out that the last Horcrux is the snakes, Nagini. Now, they need to go down to the docks, where Lord Voldemort is, and they need to go get the snake. One of the things that is super confusing to me in the Harry Potter franchise, or at least the way the movies do it, is the wand thing. Okay, so you disarm somebody, so now you own their wand, right? But in the Deathly Hallows Part 1, Harry just kind of runs up to Malfoy and just takes the wand from him. No magic or anything, just takes it by hand, right? So that means he's disarmed him, so that means his wand, Malfoy's wand, is now Harry's wand. I feel like the whole wand thing is done a bit weirdly. So at the docks, Lord Voldemort thinks that because Severus Snape killed Dumbledore, he now owns Dumbledore's wand, and that's why it's not obeying Voldemort. So Voldemort's like, alright, I gotta kill you too, and then the wand will be mine. So he kills Severus Snape. And it's a very sad goodbye to a very beloved character. Alan Rickman played the character so well. May Alan Rickman rest in peace. Severus Snape was such a beloved character. Our beloved Severus Snape has died, but he has given Harry his tears, and he tells him, yo, take him up to Dumbledore's room, pour them into that little memory thing, and take a look at my memories. And this is where we have one of my favorite sequences in this entire movie. Such a emotional and impactful and such a well done exposition scene. It's needed to wrap up Severus Snape's story. It tells the story that Severus cared about Harry the entire time. He was always there to protect him. We found that out in the first movie that he was protecting him, but it turns out throughout the whole franchise he was protecting him. He loved Harry's mom very much, and he was never actually working for Lord Voldemort. Dumbledore asked Severus Snape to kill him, so he was just following Dumbledore's orders. And so Harry finds out that he was just mad at him for no reason, and he was just being a dick. I say this all the time, but the music in this scene, in this one scene where we're looking through Snape's memories, beautifully done. And actually, what I also love about Part 1 and Part 2 is that we're diving into Dumbledore's past. The man's gone, right? He can't defend himself anymore. But it's what people are telling Harry about Dumbledore. And Harry is basically saying, hey, I'm just trusting the guy I knew, and everything you guys are telling me, it is what it is, right? Dumbledore's brother is in this movie. He tells him that Dumbledore was not the best guy ever. In the first part, Part 1, at the wedding, somebody tells him that Dumbledore's dad killed some muggles in the past. So you find out that maybe Dumbledore's family's not that great. And in this exposition scene, in this scene with Severus Snape, We find out that Snape was begging Dumbledore to protect Harry's parents. He was telling him, dude, please help me out here. And Dumbledore's response is, what will you give me? And that tells me so much about the character. So much about the character that I guess we as the audience knew as much as Harry. Harry knew him as this great guy. We knew him as this great guy. But these two movies are kind of just stripping away the greatness to show some ugliness in his character. Like, why would he even say, what would you give me, Severus, if I protect these people, right? He didn't even do a good job of protecting them. They got killed, and he tells them, you trusted the wrong guy. And it's showing just a little bit that Dumbledore, not that great of a guy as we thought. And in that flashback sequence, Harry finds out that he himself is a Horcrux, and he has to get killed. He has to get killed by Lord Voldemort himself. After the docks and watching Snape die, our group goes back to Hogwarts where everybody's in the meeting hall and there's dead bodies all over the place. And I talked about this in my part 1, that what I have a gripe with in this movie and in the last movie is that they don't show us the deaths of some important characters like Fred or Professor Lupin and his wife. We just kind of see that they're dead in this meeting hall, which I guess is played for like a surprise, like for the audience, like as our characters walking in and they're surprised by who's dead. We as the audience are always like, oh, no way, he died in the battle as well. But it's just one of those things that Lupin was an important character that we liked. Fred was an important character that we liked. That like we could have seen them die, right? I'm pretty sure in the book, Harry's actually present when Fred dies. I'm pretty sure like a wall explodes or something. So maybe something like that could have been done. Again, adds more emotional and just more danger to the war itself, right? To see casualties go of some of our favorites. Them dying off screen is kind of just like, man, it sucks that they're dead, but I personally kind of wish I saw some of that, you know? Again, adds to the dangers and the consequences of this battle that's happening. On his way to his death, Harry finds out that Dumbledore actually left him the resurrection stone inside the snitch that he left for him, and with that, he resurrects his parents, Lupin, Sirius. Nice to see Gary Oldman back. And they all talk to him about death and what it's like, and he apologizes to all of them about how he didn't mean for it all to, you know, he didn't mean for all of them to give up their lives for him, and they're telling him how it's for a greater good. But the scene where he's approaching Lord Voldemort is constructed so well, with the rising score building up, building up, building up, and then just stops, and all you hear is Lord Voldemort say, the limbo sequence is cool. We see Albus Dumbledore, and he drops some knowledge on Harry, and Harry's like, okay, well, I guess I gotta go back and finish the fight that I started. Well, now that this Horcrux is out of me, time to go finish the fight. That leads to Neville standing up against Lord Voldemort and all his forces and giving this Captain America-esque speech of that, like, you know, Harry's always been here with us and this fight's not over, and he takes out the Gryffindor sword out of the hat. Such an epic moment, and Harry's alive, and Lord Voldemort's not happy, and his army's dipping. They're like, alright, well, second time you couldn't kill this kid. This kid's just undefeatable. Sorry, bud. And they're all leaving. The Malfoys run away. And now we're at the final stretch of this fight. I've made a few Avengers references in this review, but here's one more. When I was watching Infinity War in theaters, Thor comes to Wakanda. Thor's entrance to Wakanda gets a standing ovation from people. They're cheering, clapping. Everybody's super hyped. You know what scene in this movie is that kind of scene? I saw this movie in theaters, I remember, when I was 11. And it wasn't Neville's speech. It wasn't Harry coming back to life. It was Mama Weasley killing Bellatrix. That scene when she's like, not my daughter, you bitch, got like a massive ovation from everybody in my theater. People were clapping and cheering for Mama Weasley doing something dope. Let's go. The only way that scene could have been better if Neville himself took her out, but it didn't happen that way. Harry and Voldemort facing off at the end of this movie was just great. Like when he's like, let's finish this together, and he grabs them and they're flying through the sky, and they end up, you know, at the courtyard in Hogwarts, and that one final Expelliarmus versus Avada Kedavra fight scene. Great. The music is building up. The snake is about to consume Ron and Hermione. They don't know what to do, and out of nowhere, Neville with the sword of Gryffindor goes, Shah! And right then and there, about 10 years of fighting this Lord Voldemort guy, we were like, oh man, we got this. The snake is gone. And you can see on Harry's face. Harry looks back, looks forward, gives a little smile like, oh, it's done. And they fire off one last time. And Lord Voldemort gives up and he just turns to dust, I guess. Not even dust. He just turns to like flakes. And he's gone. And the Elder Wand is in Harry's hand. It like straight up flies into his hand. So goddamn epic. Love it. And I remember the first time I saw this movie when I was 11. And at the end I was like, this is it. That's it. I felt kind of sad. I was like, I've grew up on these movies. I'm 11. These movies have been pretty much going on my whole life. I've seen these hundreds of times. And I was sad. But I was also happy because they nailed the ending. The ending was so freaking epic and satisfying. And this is the shortest Harry Potter movie, might I add again. So damn great. I love this movie. So, Deathly Hallows Part 2 is action-packed and gives us Harry Potter fans a super satisfying conclusion to a franchise that we love. And with that, I'm going to put Deathly Hallows Part 1 on the #1 slot in our table. This is my favorite Harry Potter movie. I love rewatching it. Again, it's action-packed. It gets right to the point. It has a lot of great emotional moments towards the end. It's just epic. They did it correctly. It's a shame that at some point they will reboot the Harry Potter franchise. I'm hoping that it's 2021 now, but I'm hoping for another 20 years they won't do it. So when I'm like 40, I can take my kids to go see the first Harry Potter movie, Sorcerer's Stone rebooted with some other kid playing Harry. But I'm kind of hoping it's not in the near future. The Fantastic Beasts movies, I already mentioned that I'm not going to be reviewing them. I have pretty much no intention in seeing them. For me personally, I made peace with the Harry Potter franchise. That's it. For me, the 8 movies, that's it. Again, the Deathly Hallows Part 2 was such a great ending, and I love it so much that that's it. That's where I say goodbye to the Harry Potter franchise. Maybe one day I'll watch the Fantastic Beasts movies, but I kind of just have no intention just because, again, I'm done with the Harry Potter franchise in terms of movies. And, you know, the 8 that I love are great films, and I could rewatch them anytime to revisit the Harry Potter world, but that's it. So, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, where does it rank in your Harry Potter ranking system? What do you think about the film? Let me know all of that down in the comments, and I would like to thank all of you who have been sticking with these reviews and have been watching them and leaving likes and potentially leaving comments about your thoughts about the movies. I really appreciate that. And yeah, with that being said, this concludes my 8-film Harry Potter review series. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.